of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. In today's video, I will be discussing about the cell. Cell is the structural and functional unit of life. Cell is the building block of life. We can also say that cell is the smallest unit of life. The word cell is derived from the Latin word cellula, which means little room or small room. We can say that the literal meaning of cell is little room. Now we will talk about the discovery of the cell. Cell was discovered and named by Robert Hooke in 1665. He brought cork. Cork is the bark of a tree. And made thin slices of the cork and observed those thin slices of cork under his self-designed microscope. He noticed honeycomb-like compartments within the cork. He noticed honeycomb-like compartments in the cork and noticed those compartments as cells because of their resemblances like the cells in which the monks or priests were used to live in those days. Robert Hooke has given description of these cells in his book named Micrographica. He has written a book and has given a description of these cells in his book, Micrographia. With the advancement in the field of microscopy, when more and more advanced microscopes were discovered or invented, it was found that what Robert Hooke actually saw were not the live cells, but they were empty cell walls of dead plant tissue. So we can say that Robert Hooke actually discovered cell walls and not cells. The first person to actually see a live cell under his microscope was Anton von Leeuwenhoek in 1674. He observed an algae called Spirogyra under his microscope. And Leeuwenhoek is the only person, probably first person, to see bacteria under his microscope. A few years later, the discovery of cell, after the discovery of cell, a scientist named Matthias Sheldon proposed that all plants are made up of cells. He proposed this in 1838. A year later, another scientist named Theodore Sichuan proposed that all animals are made up of cells. These two statements by these two scientists gave rise to a theory known as cell theory, which was formulated in 1839. And the tenets of this cell theory or principles of this cell theory are that all living organisms are made up of one or more than one cell, and second tenet is cell is the structural unit of life. However, these two scientists believed that cells can arise from non-cellular materials. But a few years after this theory was formulated, another scientist whose name was Rudolf Virchow proposed that omnis cellula acellula. He proposed, Rudolf Virchow proposed omnis cellula acellula. It is in Latin, which means cells exist from pre-existing cells, or we can say new cells arise from the pre-existing cells. This statement of Rudolf Virchow formed the third tenet of cell theory, and cell theory is valid till now. In the era of electron microscope, that is when electron microscope was discovered, based on the size and structure of the cell, cells were broadly divided into two types. First was the prokaryotic cell, and second is the eukaryotic cell. Both prokaryotic and eukaryotic, these are derived from two Greek words. Pro means primitive and karyon means nucleus. Similarly, eu means true and karyon means nucleus. So we can say that those cells which have primitive type of nucleus are called prokaryotic cell, and those cells which have true nucleus are known as eukaryotic cells. There are some similarities between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, and there are some differences between prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. First, we will talk about the common features of prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Common features which are present in both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Number first is both have plasma membrane. Both have plasma membrane. Second is both have genetic material. Third is both have identical DNA codes. Fourth point is both have same metabolic pathways. Like glycolysis, TCA, ATP synthesis, etc. Both metabolic pathways occur in the same manner. But there are many differences between prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells, which we will be discussing soon. So now we will talk about differences between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. There are many differences between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, and we will be discussing some of the differences, not all of them. Prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell difference. Difference between prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. First difference is in size. Prokaryotic cell size of prokaryotic cell ranges from 1 to 10 micron. 1 micron is equal to 10 raised power minus 6 meters. The size of eukaryotic cell ranges from 5 to 100 microns. This is the first difference, that is, eukaryotic cell is larger in size than prokaryotic cell. Number second, nuclear membrane is absent in case of prokaryotic cells, whereas nuclear membrane is double layered in case of eukaryotic cell. In case of prokaryotic cell, the nuclear region is poorly demarcated and the DNA is circular, where in case of eukaryotic cell, the nuclear membrane is double membrane and nucleus is well demarcated. Third point of difference is compartmentalization is absent in case of prokaryotic cells and it is present in case of cytoplasmic compartmentalization is present in eukaryotic cells. That is, membrane bound cell organelles are absent. Membrane bound cell organelles like mitochondria, chloroplast, endoplasmic reticulum, lysosomes, Golgi apparatus, these are absent in case of prokaryotic cells, where membrane bound organelles are present in case of eukaryotic cells. Fourth point of difference is the chromosome is singular, that is, DNA is in circle and it represents as a It represents itself as a single chromosome. Single chromosome present. In case of eukaryotic cell, more than one chromosome is present. More than one chromosome. Here chromosome is single, and in case of eukaryotic cell, more than one chromosome. For fifth point of difference is ribosomes are, as we know, ribosomes are the organelles which are responsible for the protein synthesis. Ribosomes are present in both prokaryotic as well as eukaryotic cell. But there is difference. There are 70 S ribosomes present. 70 S type ribosomes are present. Ribosomes are found. And in case of eukaryotic cell, 80 S ribosomes are present. This S represents Svedberg unit, or we can say it is called sedimentation coefficient. The example of prokaryotic cell is bacteria and mycoplasma, whereas eukaryotic cell is found in protozoa, algae, fungi, plants, and animals. These are the examples of prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Prokaryotic cell has bacteria. Bacterial cells are prokaryotic in nature, and mycoplasma is also prokaryotic, while as eukaryotic cells, examples of eukaryotic cells are protozoa, fungi, plants, and animal cells. This was the topic for today. I would like you to subscribe to my channel, PARVAIZ Sir's Knowledge Treasure.